Lord Kurt, bless up, my dude. Look, I got a line on a CBR 1000RR. The dude wants $2,500 for it. I can literally go get this thing right now. After I sent the hi, is this available? He said it is available. So I just want to get your thoughts if that would be a good build or something. Who the do you think you're talking to? 1,000 cc's is not that much. It's not that much. So just because you can bench 200 pounds more than me, you think I can't handle a 1,000 cc bike? I'll have you know I have 3 inches on you. And I'm not talking about height. Look, I appreciate your concern, but it's unfounded, all right? I'm gonna do whatever I wanna do. How's that go-kart coming along, huh? That's what I thought. You're gonna cry, Lord Kurt? You gonna cry? Well, I'll leave you to it then, idiot. How you guys doing?
What's up, bud? Feeling pretty good? Last thing you want to do is have the wreck bike fly out of the back of the truck.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to wreck it again.
Yeah.
Kickstand.
Kickstand. Oh, man.
Appreciate you guys. And thanks for, yeah, right there is great, dude. Thanks for bringing it over as well. As we get to work on the CBR rebuild project, I'm gonna take you guys on a bit of a journey right now. There's been a lot of hype around the Anker power stations. Let's get this thing out of the box first, talk some specs, and just see if this thing is actually worth the hype. And you guys can see it has a freaking 220 plug on it, so we can legit like weld stuff with this thing. It's definitely big. Let's see, but obviously there's a lot of foam in here too, so it's definitely more portable. This is a unit right here, wow. So this is the Anker Solix F2000, a hefty for sure, but portable 2048 watt-hour power station that can power 12 devices at once. And if over 2 kilowatts isn't enough for you, it's expandable to 4,096 watt-hours with an expansion battery. It also is solar capable, which can recharge a battery from 0 to 80% in less than an hour and a half at 1,000 watts. First of all, consider me impressed. This thing is absolutely awesome. You can see all of the various inputs on it here, and just everything is so well put together. All the materials are freaking awesome. This top part even looks like carbon fibre, and then of course it's got the easy handle here. This thing is awesome, dude. The Solix F2000 can also be monitored and utilized via a smart app you can download for your phone. They provide a 5-year full warranty for the unit too, but it's built with lithium iron phosphate batteries, which are known for their longevity and stability. Obviously, this power station can be used for all kinds of stuff, from around the house to the garage, taking it off grid, whatever you really need it for, it's there. All right, I just plugged it in and we are currently at 86% battery. Let's go ahead and do the power tool output test. Put this up, max it will go. Second power tool, let's see if it'll turn this sucker on. Easy. There's a link below if you guys want to check it out. Anker, thank you for sending me this unit. I've never seen a power bank like this. Anyway, check it out, guys. Let's get back to getting this thing running. Owner said there's no oil in it, so let's get to diagnosing this thing. So the story of the bike, how he told me, was this. He bought it in the end of 2023. He was out riding with his buddies in the mountains. There was a sharp corner that kind of like sloped, and he low-sided the bike into a field. It hit a cattle fence, and there was an angry farmer and getting sweared at. And a rider behind him was actually rolling a GoPro. They got a video clip of him laying it down and sliding into a field. He did show me the video clip, but he didn't want to give it to me for who knows why. So that's the story of the bike being laid down and why I got it for cheap. So now comes the sketchy part of it. We could not try to fire it up at all. First of all, it had a low battery and wouldn't really crank even if we tried to. And second of all, there was no oil in the bike and the dude had never tried to crank it up himself from the crash. Allegedly, he had a mechanic inspect it who told him the frame was straight and the engine fired up and ran great. While it was at the shop, they put some cheap oil in it, fired it up, and then drained all the oil and then sent it back to him. So I have yet to find out if this bike is going to crank up or not. I couldn't verify it. They were like, let's just push it and try to like pop the clutch so you can hear there's a compression in there. So we did what we could to like verify the engine would turn over, but there's no real strong indicators this bike is gonna run at all. Has no oil in it, had a hole in its crankcase when he laid it down, which he fixed. He fixed like 80% of the damage on this thing. Like the tank was ripped off, there was a hole in the crankcase, and other miscellaneous damage that he already fixed. He bought the most expensive components and installed them already, and then wouldn't try to fire it up for me. So he was asking $2,500 for it, and I wasn't going to buy it at the time, knowing that it's been crashed and nothing can really be verified right now. I'm gonna have to look at parts and just expenses before I actually give you a number I'm comfortable giving you for this bike. And he was like, look, if I can give it to you right now, how much would you pay for it? And I immediately was like, oh, this guy wants it gone. Why does this guy want it gone so bad? And I was like, $1,000. $1,000, I'll take it right now. And he was like, well, maybe not $1,000, but what about 2,200? Would you be willing to do that? I was like, but look, I'm gonna head home right now. Now I've seen the bike, I've seen the actual condition. I can, look up parts and stuff for it. Let me go do that really quick. And then if $2,200 sounds about right, let's do it. So I get home, look at a couple parts. So I messaged the dude, $2,200, let's do it. I'm good with that. So he was like, all right, $2,200, let's do it. We'll load it in the truck right now. We'll bring it over to you, send me the address. So I sent him the address. And at this point, I know there was a conversation that happened behind closed doors with him and his homie, where his buddy was like, dude, why did you lower the price on him? This guy's got McLarens and Lamborghinis and stuff. Like $2,500 is nothing for this dude, and you lowered the price on him. I know, I shouldn't have, I know. Just wanted to give him a fair price for it, since I crashed the bike and all. And what we're gonna do to make up some of the lost money now is we're gonna tell him, hear me out, that the truck is out of gas and it's gonna take $100 to fill up the gas tank. And so just ask him for $100 more. Ooh, I like the way you think. let me just do that right now real quick. We need $100 for gas. So the dude asked me for $100 of gas money for a 10-minute drive across town. So I was like, look, I appreciate you bringing it to me, but I'll give you $50 of gas money. In California, that'll buy you 5 gallons of gas. You only need about 2 to get over here, so there you go. And he was fine with that. We had already made the deal, so he was just asking for money at this point. So anyway, all that being said, let's hope this isn't too full of surprises, but let's take a look at the actual bike, get its condition, clean it up, and see what we gotta do for this thing. Here it is, our crashed 2006 CBR 1000RR project with 22,995 miles and a clean title that we bought for $2,250. So this bike took a spill into a field and hit a fence post. And while cosmetically the thing looks freaking wrecked, there really doesn't appear to be too much big damage to fix, especially when you look at it from this side. Already has a Yoshi pipe on it, which is awesome. Turning it around though reveals the side that took the slide, fairings ripped off, clutch reservoir completely gone, high beam headlight switch broken, windscreen and brackets broken, and definitely some wiring needing to be fixed. Fork seals completely effed, dead battery, and allegedly no oil in the bike. But luckily it doesn't appear to have any structural damage. The gas tank and the crankcase cover he already repaired after the accident. So while I was able to inspect the bike cosmetically and structurally before deciding to buy it, I wasn't able to verify the condition of it mechanically, which is significantly more important than cosmetics. So I knew it was a gamble, but I just took the guy's word for it that it was a good running bike, verified by his mechanic. But the lesson here is you can't trust everybody. Obviously the bike is completely dead. So that is the condition of this motorcycle. If we can fix this thing up for $800 to $1,000 or so, we'll still have some decent equity in this bike in the end. So our job today is just to verify that this thing actually does in fact run like his mechanic says it does. But I mean, overall, I love this bike and it just feels like such a weapon. Like I love the overall stance and just the aggressive nature of it. So on the mission to fire this thing up, there should be only a few things we need to do to actually hear it crank over. First and foremost, obviously we need to put a new clutch reservoir on there. There's no clutch fluid to the clutch, so you can't actually pull the clutch in. And secondly, as far as I know, the CBRs have a tilt sensor. So if you drop the bike, it automatically turns itself off. And a lot of times when you lay these bikes down and there's damage, it snaps the sensor off and the sensor is kind of hanging to the side, so it won't let the bike start until you level it back out. And then third of all, we need to verify this gas tank was actually installed correctly and put some fluids in it and everything. And then we have to fill up the oil and we need a new battery, but that's it. So let's get to it. And as I said before, the dude already did like 70% of the work on this thing after the crash. So this crank cover was cracked and he already replaced that. And the gas tank was pretty much ripped off from the accident because a cattle fence pole came like this because it was on its side and it slid into a pole. So he got a really cheap eBay tank that's rusting and has a dent in it. So pretty much the major fixes he already did. We just have small stuff to do like the clutch reservoir and probably a little bit of wiring here and there that got torn. Obviously a fairing kit for this thing will solve pretty much all the cosmetic damage. Yeah, besides that though, it doesn't look like there's any big structural concerns here. Just a few parts here and there we need to swap out. And then this thing will look and hopefully run basically like new. First things first, let's go ahead and take care of the clutch fluid reservoir. It should be as simple as this one screw and then popping a new one back on after we clean it up and filling it with brake fluid / clutch fluid. And we should be all good to go after that. Definitely pretty dirty in here, but nothing a little rag won't clean out. There we go, nice and clean. All right, let's put the new one on. Definitely a little dirty in those lines, but it actuates perfectly and there is no longer any grittiness to the pole. So that's great. A couple more pumps like this and I think we're good to go. I feel like if the dude already put this tank in here, I think he probably already connected it up. I'm probably just gonna throw some gas in there, see if it leaks. And if it doesn't leak, then I'll just assume it's all good. On to the battery. Haha, this guy's got some aftermarket wiring in here for something. If I were to guess, it's probably underglow. He kind of strikes me. Yep, there is a switch right here for underglow. Lucky guess. Freak, thank you. Frick, this hole is so tight. Barely get it in and out. All right, I am inserting it into the hole. All right, moment of truth. Yup. It's buzzing really loud though. It's going away now. I have no idea what that would be. But it looks like the screen works just fine. 22,995 miles on this bad boy. 98 degrees Fahrenheit it says, which is wrong, it's 110. Might as well just plug his sketchy underglow back in for the time being. And then just for good measure, because this battery's probably been sitting on a shelf for a long time in China, let's go ahead and just do this. All right, time for an oil change. This is the first time I'm using these things ever. I've never had a motorcycle that needed the spool stand. And this one on this side is bent, so it definitely doesn't help. Easy enough. Nice. Well, the dude was not lying when he said there was no oil in here. So let's get this oil filter off and then add some new oil to it. See if this thing will fire right up. This project is getting a little bit spicier now. All right, I'll bust this good old boy out just in case. And I'll pop both the drain plug and the oil filter off, just for good measure. What the frick? Is that water? The frick is that? There is indeed liquid in here. Now it smells like oil. Yeah, that's cheap oil that the shop put in there. Holy crap. That looked just like water when it came out. Are you serious? That's whack. That is whack. There's a lot of fluid in here. So there was some form, somebody lied somewhere. Ha. Yeah, that looks like coolant, dude. That's like green. It smells like water and oil. Yeah, there's like green, and then from the bottom of the pan, there's like almost like a brown, like a purple. This guy probably gave me a bike with some bad gaskets in the engine. Yikes. Yeah, somebody lied somewhere. Look at those fluids. Obviously looks like water and oil. Interesting. We're just gonna send it. I'm just gonna put oil in here, see if it'll even start. Guess there's no real reason not to try it right now. I can't say that I'm not nervous. Oh, we don't have gas in this thing, do we? Well, let's just see if it'll crank at least. Cranks just fine. Let's go. All right, let's put some gas in it. I'm an idiot. Hope this doesn't leak everywhere when I do it. Oh, freak. It's leaking everywhere already. All right, before I put too much in, I guess I should probably check it. See if it's leaking. All right, let's hope that's good enough. That should be, I don't know, maybe a little over half a gallon. Assuming the fuel pump and everything was installed correctly, it's time to give it a shot. Time to give it the official shot. See if this thing will start up and run on its own. That buzzing is so loud. I don't know what it is, but All right, here we go. Come on, baby. Definitely don't hear the fuel pump priming. Hope I don't have to buy another fuel pump for this thing. All right, let's give it one more shot, I guess. Random ground wire just hanging there. We'll see if that made any difference. Nothing. Although it could be because there is that tilt sensor I mentioned. The gas light just turned on. I also just don't want to put too much gas in here, you know, if it's not even plugged in correctly. And the gas light's off. So, sensor's reading. It should be plugged in. Everything should honestly be good to go unless the fuel pumps out. Give it one more go. Frick, man. Dang it. Not cool. Well, all right. Well, there you have it, everybody. Can't get it to fire up right now. What would be the problem, though? Who knows? I got to fly out of here tomorrow, so this is going to have to wait till next week. Maybe I just do the whole rebuild series in that one video next week. It might just be what have to happen. All right, I'm just gonna check some, if I can check fuses. I have no clue about this bike, honestly. I've never worked on one. So I forgot the camera was rolling, but I did a once over on the bike to see if I could spot any obvious damage to wiring, relays, or fuses that would affect the ignition and fueling systems, but to no avail. So I think we're gonna try one more thing since I have to wrap this up in less than an hour to actually finish editing this video before I fly out tomorrow. I'm gonna flip the bike around and there's some relays and stuff or fuel pump on this side. Gonna take the plastics off and just see if we can get it working today. If not, it'll have to be for next video. I'm sorry. Well, I wish there was something better to report here, but I just did a once over on this bike and checked all the wires. And while there is some wires broken and whatnot, nothing seems too far out of the ordinary, like it shouldn't be priming the fuel pump. Besides the coolant we found in the oil, and there's no coolant in here. There is some crusty coolant down there as if it was recently filled up. I don't want to suspect that that coolant was leaking into the engine and we just saw the remnants of it in the engine, but it's definitely not looking super promising. I don't really know anything about the CBRs of this era. I have always loved these bikes, but I've never owned one. Maybe you guys can help me out based on this. Engine start stop button, cranks when it's on, cranks when it's off. All the motorcycles I've had, when you turn that off, it won't crank when you push the button. So there could be something going on with those wires. The bank angle sensor way down here is exactly where it should be, so I don't suppose that's the problem. The fuses up there looked fine. The wiring, for the most part, looks fine. So I wish there was better news, but I really just don't know what the problem would be here. The fuel pump obviously could just be jammed up and it's not actually working, even though it's getting signal. But I don't think it's getting electricity at all. So anyway, that's the status report. I wish I could have got it running this video, but I can't. We'll have to take all the plastics off and we'll have to check all the wiring. And we'll have to check some of the relays and components and everything. But the aftermarket HID headlights do in fact work as they should, which is surprising. I'm gonna see if the underglow works. Not that I'm seeing. Let's try touching this ground wire. No, the underglow doesn't even work. It's just a big mystery at this point. Nothing, like everything seems to work fine. I just can't get that fuel pump to prime. And just the way it's cranking, I can tell it's just not getting fuel. It sounds like it's getting everything else. It's just that hollow crank of no fuel. That's where I'm gonna have to leave you guys. I'm really hoping this coolant is not leaking into the engine and that this guy knew it was just a complete dud and just dropped it off on my doorstep. So I definitely didn't want this to be the case, but somebody was lying somewhere along the line. Even if he did send it to a mechanic, the mechanic might've just been like, yeah, it runs fine, didn't even test it. Or the dude knew exactly what was happening and the oil was mixing with the coolant and he just didn't want to deal with it, you know, without disclosing too much so he could get top dollar for a mystery bike. But yeah, just comes down to somebody was lying and I'm on the receiving end of it, unfortunately. So next video, we're gonna go ahead and just strip this entire bike down, and we need to figure out this fuel pump issue, and then we can actually start working on fixing the rest of the bike that was damaged in the low side slide that the guy had. That's officially where we're gonna have to end this video, unfortunately. Obviously, I wish it would have just fired right up. Whoever solves this problem first in the comments, I'll send an email, I'll send you a gift. Please, somebody just help me out. But I'm flying out tomorrow for the next few days, so I just wanna keep these videos consistent. I've recently realized that I've just put too many rods in too many fires, and I'm just too spread out. So I'm trying to just focus on one thing at a time. CBR 1000RR is next up, so I'm gonna knock this out as fast as I can. Hopefully when I get back from the trip, somebody will have solved my problems in the comments, and I'll go ahead and swap that out and get this build going. All right, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Hopefully we can figure this thing out pretty soon. Catch you guys then.